Now for our featured story of the day. Let's discuss Bitcoin hitting a $3 trillion market cap this cycle, according to Bernstein analysts. In fact, the headline reads, Bitcoin price prediction, 3 million by 2025. Now, I think this is a typo. It should say 3 trillion. Hence the typo on my thumbnail. It should also say 3 trillion, but nonetheless, I digress. So in exciting news, Reddit's upcoming initial public offering has stirred up a storm in the crypto world with hopes of new money breathing fresh life into the alt markets, while big names like Morgan Stanley, UBS, and Wells Fargo haven't fully embraced Bitcoin yet. Signs of growing institutional interest are evident in the overwhelming demand for the Bitcoin ETFs, which we're witnessing unprecedented inflows, family. Let's discuss some of the bullish signs first. Altcoin Daily recently dove into this trend, pointing out the surge in ETF investments led mainly by everyday investors, showing a widening acceptance of Bitcoin's usefulness. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's climb to new highs is gaining steam, with big players like Standard Chartered Bank predicting we could hit 150,000 per Bitcoin by the end of the year. I covered this specific Standard Chartered Bank prediction in the previous episode, so be sure to check that out if you missed it. This specific outlook reflects the growing confidence in Bitcoin's value and its potential to shake up the finance and shake up the world. Also notable figures like Cathie Wood, shout out to Cathie Wood to all my broskies here, are even more bullish, believing Bitcoin can soar to $1 million in the next few years. In fact, she's now saying we're going to hit 1 million way before 2030 and now projecting 2.3 million per Bitcoin, which I also covered roughly 3 podcast episodes ago. So shout out to Cathie Wood. She sees Bitcoin as a game changer, not just in finance, but in how we think about money. And despite the success of the Bitcoin ETFs, Wood thinks there's still a lot of room for growth, especially for institutional investors. Now, Bitcoin's resilience in the face of challenges, always remarkable, akin to Uber's rapid rise in transport industry. This resilience suggests Bitcoin has crossed a significant threshold and is set for more growth. That's right. We call this the escape velocity, and Bitcoin has already reached it, and there's nothing the Fed, the government, or any corrupt politician can do to change it. Hallelujah to that. Despite attempts to slow it down, Bitcoin keeps gaining momentum, driven by increasing demand and limited supply. We know Bitcoin is the only form of money in history of money in humankind that has a finite limited supply of 21 million. So a report by Bernstein analysts suggests that Bitcoin can become a $3 trillion market by 2025, showing big businesses interested in cryptos and hinting at Bitcoin's role as a key investment and wealth preservation tool. Now, this is what's up. Right now, I think the Bitcoin market cap is probably 1.2 trillion. Let's get a confirmation here. It is currently $1.26 trillion. So virtually just shy of a 3x is what the analysts are projecting. Now, if the Bitcoin price 3x'd along with the market cap from today's price of where we at currently, let's just say it's $65,000, 65 times 2, what is that? Roughly $1.30-ish. And then we add another 65. That'd take us to close to $200,000 per coin for this cycle. So let me know if you agree or disagree with the projection. Now, as Bitcoin approaches the next halving, as I pointed out earlier, we're roughly only, we go to the Bitcoin halving countdown clock, only 26 days away, with the estimated date taking place April 16th of next month, which we all know is right around the corner. So what are your thoughts? Do you feel we'll likely easily hit this 3 trillion market cap this cycle by 2025? Let me know your thoughts in the comments in the live chat. I think that is extremely conservative. I say more realistically, somewhere between 5 and 10x. Of course, JV is bullish. Of course, I have one of the most bullish YouTube channels. Even during the entire bear market, I was bullish virtually every single day. But nonetheless, I genuinely believe it. That's why I share it and project it. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball that I can look into or a magic 8-ball, but nonetheless, basic supply demand. Here's some of the reasons of why JV is so bullish, and I think 3 trillion market cap is extremely bearish, and why I'm anticipating over a 5 trillion Bitcoin market cap for this cycle. Number one, institutional FOMO did not exist previous market. Previous market cycle was driven by retail. This time we have the institutions. BlackRock alone already now has over 200,000 Bitcoin, neck and neck competing with MicroStrategy, which now has over 200,000 Bitcoin. So they each own roughly 1% of the Bitcoin circulating supply. So combined, that's over 400,000 Bitcoin and 2% of the Bitcoin supply. two companies, BlackRock and MicroStrategy. Factor in the Fidelity's $4.5 trillion asset management firm and all the rest of them, even Vanguard, who has an anti-Bitcoin stance, and they just announced their CEO is stepping down this year. They claim to be anti-Bitcoin. It's against our ethos, yada, yada, yada. It's too risky. But nonetheless, did you know who is the primary shareholder of MicroStrategy? That's right. That same company. Vanguard, the second largest asset manager in the world. BlackRock, I believe, is the second largest shareholder of MicroStrategy. So they're all invested into Bitcoin. Even if they're fudding Bitcoin, they're indirectly exposed to it. So that should tell you something. Now, currently, there's 900 Bitcoin being awarded daily to the miners. That's about to get cut in half in 25-ish days. So we're only going to have 450 new Bitcoin being mined daily. Now, once you calculate BlackRock alone accumulating over 10,000 Bitcoin per day, supply shock. That's why CryptoQuant put out in their report, which I covered earlier in the week, that they're expecting and anticipating a legitimate supply shock in 6 months, meaning all the Bitcoin on the exchanges are going to dry up because there's just too much demand. And 80% of the Bitcoin supply is currently in the hands of the long-term hodlers. So people such as yourself that believe in Bitcoin and don't want to sell it aren't going to sell. So what's going to happen? They're going to have to fulfill this demand for their clients that want the Bitcoin. This doesn't factor into the ETFs that are yet to launch out of Hong Kong. The Asian markets are massive, massive money coming out of Hong Kong, right? We also have the El Salvador Bitcoin ETF, which will be different from all the existing ETFs. The difference being it'll be Bitcoin in, Bitcoin out, making it like a true Bitcoin ETF. Whereas currently you invest in an ETF, you're putting USD in, and that USD equivalent can rise in price along with Bitcoin or go down in value. But when you cash out, you don't ever touch or receive any Bitcoin. You get the USD equivalent. And some would say, like Max Kaiser, that the Bitcoin ETF could be a big scam, meaning many of you guys are going to get wrecked, right? And the institutions are going to be the big winners collecting all the fees. Now, what if the US government created, hypothetically, an executive order and said, we're going to seize all the Bitcoin, ETF, BTC in the name of national security. It's a direct threat and undermines the value of the US dollar. Lo and behold, Biden signs a paper and then they confiscate all the Bitcoin, which Coinbase currently has in custody. Coinbase currently has over 1 million Bitcoin in custody because BlackRock is a custodian, they're the custodian of BlackRock, GBTC, which currently holds over 300,000 Bitcoin, etc. So you got to keep this in mind, family. A lot of potential headwinds which can occur, but one thing is for sure, Bitcoin, ETF, BTC is not the same as self-custodied Bitcoin. You want the real thing. You want to hold the asset, not your keys, not your cheese, meaning not your keys, not your coins. And now even the banks want to custody the Bitcoin, right? Versus using Coinbase or etc. as a custodian. Now, other factors that are bullish besides the obvious stock to flow, right? Supply, demand, massive demand, very limited supply. We also have nation state adoption. Nayib Bukele continues to buy Bitcoin, putting it in their safe, in their cold storage wallet. In El Salvador, there's another nation who has been secretly purchasing Bitcoin behind the scenes, according to Edward Snowden and many other whistleblowers. Which nation will this be? We don't know. A lot of speculation out there. Also, we could have the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the nation of Qatar purchasing Bitcoin right now. Recently, Bukele released a video of some of the princes from the Middle East shaking hands with Bukele congratulating them. Could this be happening all behind the scenes? According to Max Kaiser, yes. I mean, he is the high priest. There's a lot of other bullish catalysts as well. Which catalysts do you feel are the most bullish for this particular cycle? So, I mean, who knows? You also have Mike Saylor. He's not slowing down. His goal is to purchase 1 million of the Bitcoin supply from MicroStrategy, controlling 5% of the circulating Bitcoin supply. Like I said, they already control 1%. And if they continue at that rate, good Lord, they're going to have 1 million Bitcoin by themselves. So game theory is playing out in real time as we have predicted. And their other adoption. What about sovereign wealth funds? They say the Qatar is sitting on a $500 billion sovereign wealth fund, could be secretly purchasing Bitcoin behind the scenes right now as well. So there's just so much bullishness with so little Bitcoin and tapping into the total addressable market. We're discussing 700 trillion. Where do you think they're going to park this capital? Well, what's giving us the best returns right now? Is it gold? Is it junk bonds? Or is it Bitcoin? Bitcoin is up 150% or so in the past year. Not too shabby. The past month, Bitcoin is up, you know what I mean? Just in the month of February, we soared 45%. So these are mind-boggling numbers. And like I said, I don't think these asset managers are going to be slowing down. I'm envisioning more like a snowball effect. They're going to be speeding up. Jennifer says, if you're buying through a broker, it is most likely an ETF. It is not the real Bitcoin. Good to note. Appreciate those insights. You got to know what you're getting into. Qatar in the house. My friend was there and said it's super clean and full of wealth, says Toasty Toast. So yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. Where do you feel the Bitcoin price action is likely to go? And look, just like that, we're back in the green. All JV had to do was stream for 1 hour. We're back in the green.